Well, good evening and welcome to this, the fourth in the Dressage Training TV Feldenkrais series. And Claire's here once again as our volunteer to take part in the class and to do the moves. So Claire, please lie down on the floor, on your back to start with. That's it. So find yourself a comfortable place to lie, and just lie with your arms and legs long for a few moments and observe your body on the ground. And one way you can think about your body is like a stick man, drawing it as 5 lines: your 2 legs, your 2 arms, your body, and your head on the top. Now, when we're adults, we're very conscious of proportions and the size of things when we're drawing. We try to have everything kind of symmetrical, and we'd love to all be symmetrical on our horses. But the reality is not quite the same. So if you observe your body on the ground here and you think about the length of your 2 legs, just notice if one feels longer, if one feels shorter, how the two compare. Sometimes people will say to me that one leg feels slimmer and the other one thicker, or one feels like it's floating up and the other one feels like it's sinking into the ground. So one's lighter and one's heavier. So just kind of notice the comparison between the 2 legs. And then think about your spine and the shape of your spine. You might think about how the curves move down towards the floor and away from the floor. You might think of any curves that you might sense either going side to side. Or it might feel like one side of your rib cage is slightly higher off the floor than the other, so that your rib cage doesn't quite lie flat. And then think about the 2 arms. And again, feel, how would you draw these 2 arms? Would they be the same length? Would they be the same thickness? Does one feel heavier on the floor than the other? I guess if you were drawing them, that might mean that one was in a kind of light shade of grey and the other was in a heavier black or something. And you can consider the angles that your arms make with your body and the angles that your legs make with the body. And then you can think about the contact of your head on the floor. Does it feel like you rest on the center of your skull? If you drew a line down your face from your forehead over your nose, over your chin, would that extend down over your breastbone, your sternum, down to your pubic bone and land between your feet, or would it land somewhere else? So just take a few moments to really notice your body and feel what it is that you feel right now. And then I want you to roll over, Claire, and lie on your belly. Okay, so what I want you to do is, to start with, just put both arms just either side of your head, both hands either side of your head, and just decide which side you'd rather that your head goes. And just notice which way you want to turn your head, which is the most comfortable. Okay. And just take a few moments to observe your body now that it's lying on the floor this way up. And just notice what you notice. So you might notice how close together your toes are, or your heels are. Are the toes closer than the heels? Are the heels closer than the toes? Remember, there's never a right or a wrong in this work. It's kind of like, it's what is the reality of the situation. Maybe you feel like you're lying more heavily on one side of your body than the other. Do you have a sense of the length of your two legs in this position? Can you sense where your spine is now? Do you have any idea where those curves go down towards the floor and where they come up away from the floor? Do you have any sense of any side stuff going on in your spine? And just have a sense of your shoulder blades, your elbows, where they're positioned. And the part of your head that rests on the floor here. And maybe also your comfort level. Is this a comfortable place for you or not? And then turn your head to face the other side. So we started out with whichever side was most comfortable for you. And just notice, how is it when you turn your head this way? What changes in the contact of your body? Do you notice any changes? No changes? Is it more comfortable, less comfortable? How is it for you? And then Claire, turn your head again so it faces the left. And place the back of your left hand underneath your head. So your right cheek is lying on your left hand. Yep. Okay. And from here, can you lift your left arm, your left hand off the floor, and with it bring your head? So you're lifting your head with your arm. That's it. And then put it back down again. That's it. And do that several times. So you might choose to do the left side with your head to the left to start with and just follow the directions that I'm giving. Or if you really had a preference for having your face to the right, you might choose to face the right and reverse all the directions I'm giving you. And just feel as you lift, feel your breathing. Do you breathe in or do you breathe out as you lift? And just feel what other parts of your body get involved in this movement. And I just want to reinforce the idea here that it's the arm and the hand that are doing the lifting and lifting the head rather than your neck lifting your head. Okay, so leave that, let your hand out and just rest for a moment. So throughout the lesson, as usual, I will give you an instruction to take a rest. But if you feel like you need to rest before we get to that point, then do stop and rest. The rest times are important. Okay. Now, Claire, could you start to lift your right leg from the floor? So keep it long. That's it. And lift and lower your right leg. So this is the opposite leg to the arm that was lifting earlier. And again, feel your breathing. And notice underneath the front of your hip joint, what happens there? Does it push down into the floor? Does it lift away from the floor? What other parts of your body do you feel getting activated and pushing into the floor? Okay, and then leave that. And again, put your left hand underneath your face. That's it. So that's left hand and right cheek. Okay. And there are two ways of making this lift with the arms. So Claire, if you continue to lift and lower the arm with the head, Okay, and back down again. You could think that this lift happens either in a straight up direction. So if your head was a helicopter, it would be just lifting straight up off the floor. Okay. Or you could think that it's more like an aircraft going along the runway and that there's a forward and up movement to this lift. That's it. So try the two ways and see which works for you. Give your body the experience of lifting in either way. Okay, and Claire's taking a rest very sensibly. Okay, and then now can you lift your head with your hand and your opposite leg? So this is the left arm, the right leg, lift and lower them together. That's it. And feel again, feel which bits of you push down into the ground to organize this. And if you notice whether you breathe in or you breathe out as you lift. Okay, and then leave that and rest for a moment. Okay, so once more, put your left hand underneath your head. Okay, and lift both your head and your arm and your leg, and then pause. Now I want you to put your head down and see if you can lift your leg a little higher. That's it, and then put your leg down and lift your head and your arm. That's it. So now you're rocking across the diagonal. That's it. So you're going between those two places, lifting one, lifting the other. That's it. And you might feel there's almost like a diagonal line on your belly where you're pressing on the floor as you rock between these two places. Okay. And then come roll over onto your back and take a rest. Okay. So you can either lie with your legs long at this point, or you may want to bring your knees up and just let them hang over your chest for a few moments. That's it. Yeah. Okay. And then let them down again. Okay. So this can be quite hard work on your back. And some of you will be going, oh, it's going to make me more hollow. You might have diagnosed yourself, or somebody else might have diagnosed for you that you're a rider with a hollow back. And yes, when you're lying on your belly and you're doing this exercise, it will make you more hollow for a while. But actually what very often happens is in that making you more hollow, it also releases the muscles that allow you then to become more round in the opposite direction. Okay, so ready to come back on to your belly? Yeah, so roll over. Okay, so now we're going to go through the same things on the other side. So now we've got Claire putting her left cheek on her right hand. Okay, and just again start with just lifting and lowering your head and your arm. That's it. And just feel, how does this feel to do it on this side? Notice, do you lift like the airplane coming up the runway, or do you lift like the helicopter doing a vertical takeoff? And when you've done it a few times one way, then explore the other way. And one of the things I really like about Claire working here is she really pays attention and rests when she needs to rest. So that's great. Okay, so you can leave your hands where they are for a moment, Claire. And then can you lift and lower your right leg? Sorry, your left leg. It's me getting muddled up now. That's it. So lift it and lower it. And again, feel what happens in your hip joint as you lift. How much of you pushes down into the floor and how much of you lifts up away from the floor. Okay, and again, Claire's taken her time and decided to rest. So we'll let her rest for a moment. So as I was saying, that there are no rights and no wrongs in this work. It's paying attention to what is. And the way it works is that your body tends to move towards habits which are easier. Our bodies are basically lazy. And it's like whichever is the most efficient and the easiest way for a body to do something is the way that it will go to. The real problem is that sometimes what happens is that our bodies build habits that are habits of protection, which over time get strengthened in our bodies. But over a while, they're no longer required. So it's like, if you injure your ankle and you walk with a stick for a while, you get in the habit of walking with the stick. And the habits that you build to walk with that stick might stay with you after you've discarded the stick. Now, your body's not then doing the habits that are most efficient for walking straight and for walking level once your ankle is repaired. It's still trying to protect your ankle. Okay, so it's a matter of paying attention, noticing what you do, and exploring alternative ways of doing it. And when the body kind of goes, oh, yes, that's easier, then you'll get to do that for a while. And then the old habits will creep back in. Anybody who's been on a diet will know that desire to go and have the chocolate bar will creep back in. And you just have to go, oh, actually, I don't need that. There's a different way to do this. And you might, if you're on your diet, you might go and have an apple instead as you find yourself heading to the chocolate bar. In the body, it's the same. It's like you catch yourself going into that protective mode. And then you can kind of readjust and say, well, actually, no, I have learned there's a different place to be. All right, so Claire, let's have you put your hand underneath your head again. Okay, and this time lower your head and your hand along with your leg. That's it. And another thing that Claire's really nicely demonstrating here is that at the end of each movement, her body comes down. She allows the whole of her body to come down and rest back down onto the mat before she starts again. And very often it's in that very first part of the movement of the lift that you'll notice habits creeping in. Okay, so if you're ready, Claire, now come back to, so we did have a rest there. So I should have said that in case you're just listening to the audio. And now, Claire, go back, lift both your arm and your leg. That's it. And then can you put one down and lift the other one higher? That's it. And then now put the leg down and lift your body. That's it. So you find that diagonal to rock across in your body. Now, I'm somebody who's worked and struggled with my asymmetry over many years. It's a lot better now than it used to be. But this lesson was one that in the first time I did this lesson, I really felt a difference between how I organize the two directions of this. And how much easier it was to go one way than the other. Mm-hmm. Yes, so long as, do I need to repeat the question? So we've had a question come in about doing this exercise if you've got bulging discs. And my answer to that would be, do it very gently, do it very carefully, and don't do it if it causes discomfort. So it's like, keep the movements as small as you can to keep in your comfort level. And if that means that you only do it in your imagination, then just do it in your imagination. Mental rehearsal and doing things in your imagination is very, very powerful. And over time, you might find that you can do a little bit movement and a little bit more movement. But yeah, do the exercise, but take it very gently. And rest often. Okay, so I think Claire's done enough. So let's have you roll over onto your back again. Yeah, I would let your legs go long for a moment, just to feel what it feels like. And then see, can you bring your knees up over your chest, but not hang on to them? So could they just rest over your chest? That's it. And feel your breathing. That's it. And you can keep your knees up there as long as you like. You could roll your knees a little to one side, a little to the other side. That's it. Go slowly. Half speed. So Claire's saying she can't do slowly. Yeah. So it takes more control to do things slowly. So very often people will race to do things if they're unsure about how to do them, and then they're not sure they've quite got the control. Okay, so leave that and then let your legs go down again. And take a few moments to feel your contact with the floor. Okay, when you're ready, come onto your belly again. So I know this lesson can be quite demanding on people's bodies. And so I really want to kind of remind you to take it at your own pace and stop and rest, stop and rest. You can, if you're listening it to an audio playback, you can always hit the pause button and then go back to it. Okay, so Claire, let's have you with your right cheek on your left hand again. So the right cheek is on the back of the left hand. And this time bend both your knees so your feet come up towards the ceiling. That's it. And can you lift and lower your right knee from the floor? That's it. So lift it and lower it. That's it. So last time, Warren, we were doing this with your legs straight. And this time we're doing it with your knees bent. Okay, so let your legs go long and rest for a moment. Okay, this time leave your left leg long and just bend your right knee. That's it. And lift and lower your right knee while your left leg is long. Okay, and then leave it and let your leg down. Rest again. Okay, and again, bend both knees, bring both feet up towards the ceiling, put your hand underneath your head. So this is the left hand, back of the left hand under the right cheek. And together lift your hand with your head and your right knee. That's it. And lift and lower. That's it. And feel how it is to do it in this organization. Okay, and if you're okay to keep going, you could just lower your left leg. That's it. And continue to lift and lower both the head and the hand and the right knee. Okay, and that's it, and rest. Well done. Don't know about you, but I'm getting warm in here. Sorry? Oh, it's not too hot on the floor. That's good. Okay, so again, let's have you bend both knees. Bring your left hand underneath your right cheek. Okay, and lift both your arm and your head and your right knee. Okay, and from here, can you find that roll across the diagonal? That's it, and then put the knee down and lift the head. That's it, and that's it. Well done. Yep. Okay, and then again, this time leave your left leg long, just bend your right knee. Okay, lift the head and the hand and the knee, that's it, and then find the roll across the diagonal in this version. And really feel the bits of you that push down into the ground as you do this. Okay, and leave that, let everything down. Take a breather and roll over onto your back again. Take a moment to see how things feel with your legs long. Okay. And then bring your knees up and just rest them over your chest. And you could imagine that your knees are going to draw a little circle. That's it. That's it. And then circle them the other way. And feel how your back lowers into the floor as you do this. Okay, and then leave it and have a rest. So let your legs go long for a moment. And if it's not comfortable for you to lie with your legs long in this way, then by all means, bend your knees and have your feet standing. It's about finding the place that is comfortable. Okay, ready for one more round? Okay. And if you're kind of lying there now at this point going, really? Another bit? Then don't do it. Just lie there and listen to the instructions, or switch it off and come back to it at another time. But you don't learn if you're in that, oh, I really don't want to do more place. It's not a great place for learning. Okay, so this time Claire's turned her head to the right. So she's now got her left cheek down to the mat. She's going to put her right hand underneath her head. She's going to bend both knees. Okay, and this time lift and lower the left knee from the floor. Oh, leave your head for a moment. Yeah, you're getting ahead of yourself. That's it. So that's it. Just lift and lower the left knee. So it's like we start each movement at the smallest piece we can. And she says, that's pretty small. Okay, so you feel that doesn't lift as well as the other leg. Yeah. Okay, so you could lengthen your right leg and see, does that change it? Does that make any difference? Sorry? No, she's saying it's not moving at all. Yeah. So this is where you start to discover the differences in the left side and the right side of your body, and how things vary. And sort of when you relate that back to being in your riding position, you may have one leg where the knee tends to drop down too low and the other knee tends to come up. These are the sort of differences that this would make. Maybe you'd be heavier on one seat bone. Maybe one side of your body always topples backwards and one side goes forwards. So it's kind of like you can start to understand what's happening more in your day-to-day activities that you do, that then all you see it is magnified when you get on the horse. Okay, so we did the left knee lifting with both knees bent, and then with just the left knee bent. So now we can do both knees bent and lift the left knee with the right arm and your head. And as I say, remember that your arm is really supporting your head. If you start to get a sore neck, you're probably not supporting it enough with your hand. And if your neck gets sore, then definitely do less. Make the movement smaller and take more rest breaks. And as I said before, you can always do it in your imagination. Okay, and then you can let the right leg go long. And remember to stop and rest anytime you need to stop and rest. Okay, just come back and do a few more of that last move. So just the one knee bent, that's it. And lift and lower them together. Okay, and leave it, let everything down and rest. You know, one of the things that it always strikes me is, you know, a lot of us spend time with our horses and doing gymnastic exercises for our horses. And actually what we're doing is the same thing that Feldenkrais does for the body, which is saying to them, okay, can you bend your back in this direction and that direction? Can you move your rib cage this way and that way? Can you move your shoulders in one direction and your pelvis in another? What are all the various combinations? And when you start looking at things like leg yield and shoulder in and renvers and travers, then these are all different combinations of asking the horse to do different movements with different parts of its body. And it's the same for us. We need to explore the variety of movements, and in turn, they help us become more symmetrical and more efficient in the way we move our body as a whole. Okay, so let's have you bend both knees. Bring your hand back underneath your head. Okay, so we've got the right hand under. So lift your right arm and your head and your left leg. That's it. And then can you roll across the diagonal? Okay, and then have another rest. And again, bring your right hand underneath your head. Bend this time just the left knee. That's it. And lift both the arm and the knee. That's it. And again, can you rock across the diagonal? That's it. Okay, leave it, rest. How's your stamina doing? Got enough for a little bit more? A little bit more, she says. Okay, so it's just one little thing to finish this off. Okay, so place both your hands, one on top of the other, and your forehead on the top. Okay, and a couple of times just lift your head with your hands. So that's it. And feel the push of your belly into the mat. Okay, leave your head down for a moment. A couple of times lift both legs. That's it, and put them down. And again, feel the push into the mat. Okay, then can you lift your head and your legs? That's it, good. Okay, rest for a moment. Okay, and then can you lift your head and your legs? Okay, and then can you rock? So one end down, the other end up a little bit. That's it. And feel how your belly pushes into the mat. Feel how low down in your belly you activate, as well as how high up you activate. Okay, pause with everything down. Have we done enough, or do you want a little bit more? She says a little bit more. Okay, so this time bend both your knees. Okay, and this time can you lift both your knees from the floor? That's it, and back down again. Well done. So we're just going to do a very little bit of this because this has already been quite a demanding lesson, I think, for Claire. Okay, and then lift your knees and your head. Well done. Yeah, she very sensibly took a pause. Okay, take one more proper rest for a moment. You know what's coming next? Yes, she says. So I'm going to have Claire lift both her head and her arms and her head and her knees, and then see can she rock across the belly from here. So one end up, one end down. Okay, leave it. Let it all down. Roll over onto your back. She says it's got warmer now. Okay. So just take time to feel your contact for a moment. Then bring your knees up over your chest. That's it. Rock them from side to side. That's it. And then around in a circle. Okay. And then around in the circle in the opposite direction. Okay. And then let everything down. Take a few moments to observe how everything is on the floor right now. So you might think back to your 5 lines that you were observing earlier and how everything compares to earlier. And then when you're ready, gently roll to one side to come to sitting. That's it. And when you're ready from there, yeah, so take your time. Always take your time coming up, both from lying down to sitting and from sitting to standing. Okay. And take a few moments in standing just to feel how everything feels. Yeah. Feel how your feet contact the floor. Okay. And just have a little walk around and feel. There's not a lot of room on this little area here that we've got to work in that for walking around. But okay. So Claire, have you got any observations to make from that lesson? She feels longer.
Looser but stronger.
Looser but stronger, yeah. Very often the feelings are kind of contradictory, and it's like people often say to me, I feel more down on the ground, but I feel lighter. And it's kind of like, right, yeah, it's kind of like they sound like they're two opposite things, but very often it's like the impact of one has the effect on the other. All right, so have a little wander around and just kind of take it gently and see how you feel. Sometimes people sleep very differently after this lesson, so be interested to know how it goes. And what about your abdominal muscles? Have you you can feel you've been using them? Right, okay. Yeah, so Claire's saying first session she felt a bit sweaty. And actually, this lesson, I remember the first time I did this lesson, it was kind of like, oh God, this is hard work. And I was huffing and puffing and, lots of people around me doing the same lesson with relative ease. And I was kind of looking around going, so how come they can do it and I can't? Yes.
and not get rushed so I didn't get out of breath.
Yeah. So Claire's saying, thinking about her breathing, making sure she didn't get rushed, so she didn't get out of breath. But that's great. Thank you very much again, Claire. And thank you, everybody.